So good afternoon, everyone, or whoever has logged on. I appreciate I'm alongside one of the keynote headline speakers, Brad. But putting on a session today around email prospecting, just really giving you some advice how to perform or run your own email prospecting activity or campaigns. So lots to get through, so I'll jump straight in. Just to give you an overview on who we are, or who I am. We are SoPro, and we've been running prospecting activity for about 6 years now on behalf of our clients. We've gone from, well, really just the founders and myself back about 6 years ago to about 130 people in the business, servicing over 700 clients. And what we do, we're prospecting or engaging like 1 million prospects on behalf of our clients year in, year out. That's given us the combination of about 14 million emails we've sent in total since we began. And that generates a huge amount of business for our clients, sort of like 100 million new business contracts generated on an annual basis. And really what we've got there is a huge treasure trove of insights that we can share to our clients or anyone who's interested in doing prospecting. We track and trace everything that we do, and therefore the statistics that we've managed to figure out has really got us to hone in our prospecting activity to perfection. Should you be doing prospecting or sending emails? Really, the answer is yes. If you want to generate new business on a B2B basis, it's a very effective channel. In fact, even if you go back to stats from last year, for every £1 you spend on emailing, you can get about £42 back, which is a huge return. And with all the channels that you operate, as far as outbound goes, emailing is definitely one of the most effective. And it can be managed in a very in a way where you're not spending huge amounts of time rather than doing sort of a lot more manual cold outreach. So what we're going to go through in this particular talk is really covering the subject lines of sending emails, the content of those emails you're going to send, the sequence you should typically send for that, for the emails you're putting out, and then really how to follow up on the replies that come through. So what we're talking about here is not email nurturing or marketing or newsletter. We're talking about replicating a salesperson writing and going out directly to their target market. So a couple of assumptions here. We'll assume that you have sorted out your target list. You've identified the right people you want to contact. You've got a platform or a method of sending out emails, and now all you need to do is get to it and start sending these emails out with the idea of starting a conversation with the relevant people you're going out to. So to begin, subject lines. Now, when an email lands in the inbox of you or anyone, a prospecting email, whatever it is, you have a few things to go on whether or not you decide to even open that email in the first place. And that is who sent it. You've got time and date. And then the main thing, of course, is the subject line. What is being written? What does it look like that email is about? Here's some examples of how not to write a subject line. We've got capitalization in there. We've got emojis, symbols, the age-old question, what are you thinking about this? All of these types of subject line, they just look like mass marketing. And if you receive an email in your inbox, you think, looks like mass marketing. Are you going to open it? Probably not. You're busy, delete it, move on, or it just gets buried. So all these things that look like they're not being sent personally to you, they're going to be ignored. So avoid these at all costs. However, how to get it right? First off, you should be targeting about 40% plus open rate. One of the key things is to keep your subject line short and sweet, or keep it short and simple. We've actually looked, and statistically, anything less than 15 characters is proven to be higher or perform higher in terms of opens than longer ones. Personalizing it is quite useful as well. And if you compare personalizing it to the person's name versus the company name, actually the company name comes out on top. And what you want to put into your subject line or the content of it is really what you want to achieve, not what you're selling. Because if you try and tell them about what the content of the email consists of mainly, then they might not need to open it. If you say, I'm going to sell you marketing services, they go, I don't want marketing, I'm not going to open the email. So personalization and a brief intro, quick call, first name / SoPro chat. It's just a very simple, a very simple note about what you want to achieve from the email, but what you want to do is get people to open the email. And this should hopefully spark the curiosity. It's not giving them all the information, just enough to make them want to click open and then start to read. And on to the next point. We've got them to open the email. Lots to be done from that point onwards, though, because opening an email may be happening in a reading pane on Outlook, for example, which is, it may send you a note that says that email has been opened, but have they actually read it? And when somebody opens an email, they'll look at it and very quickly they'll consider two things. Is it specifically for me? Does it look like a personalized one-on-one email? And will it take less than 30 seconds to read? And if they don't feel it's personalized or personal to them, if they look at it and it looks like it's got bullet points, loads of information, they're not going to read it. They will again move on to the next email, it gets buried or it gets deleted, and doesn't go anywhere, unfortunately. Now, when you design the look of your email, if you create it in any sort of HTML design, you have a load of pictures in there, anything that you would typically receive as a marketing email, they're not going to pay attention to that, because a quick look at it, you go, look, it's marketing. This email needs to look like you've opened up your Outlook or your Gmail and you've written directly to these people on a one-on-one basis. So plain text email, your signature in there, and that will, when that at first glance, should give them enough to, or make them encouraged enough to read it and find out what the hell you want, why you're actually getting in touch with them in the first place. Bit more information about what to actually write in these emails. This is a simple formula. If you see on the left-hand side, we've got the greeting, bit of a softener, your intro and rationale behind the cold contacts, logic for the next step, and a call to action. And then make sure you insert a proper email signature in there when you are, make sure it's the same one as you send out normally. It's going to have a link to your website, which is useful as well. But going to the greeting, always try and avoid the word hello. It's just not a particularly friendly approach. It's a bit too formal. You can have good morning, hi, anything to avoid the plain boring version of hello. In terms of a softener, sometimes people don't feel like they should write this in. I hope you're having a good Tuesday. I hope you're enjoying the weather. They are really useful to put in there, but you can't say, I really hope you're doing well, because you don't know them as a person, but something to soften the initial part of that email. I know it feels a little bit cliche, but it is worth having in there. And if you can make it more personalized to them, even better. Going on to the intro, the why are you contacting them? So quick head up, a quick intro for me. I head up the UK partnerships at SoPro, hoping I might be able to catch you later this or early next week to make a proper introduction. It looks like we might be able to help companies. So this is the logic for the next step, and also what I think I can do for them. So it looks like we can help a company open a few doors on the business development side over the next few months. So I wondered if you might have a few minutes to run through my logic. Nothing too in-depth. I'm not trying to sell them, oh, this is why SoPro is brilliant. I'm just saying, I think I can help you in this area. And then the call to action. Any chance I could grab you for a brief chat on Friday? Literally 15 minutes. How's your diary? It's not being too assumptive. It's just saying, look, it'd be great to have a conversation. Maybe we could speak on this day. And as I said, insert the signature on the bottom. Short, we've got like 3 paragraphs there. Notice there'll be no bullet points in there. I'm not trying to oversell what SoPro does. I'm simply saying, look, this is us. I think we can help you here. It would be great to tell you more about it. That is the format of your intro email. That's the sort of approach you want to be making to these people. And what's the goal of the email? Like the subject line is to get it opened. The goal of the email is to get a conversation started, get them replying, engage in some dialogue. How do you know if you've written an email that's simple enough? Well, you got the 10-year-old test, so you can get a 10-year-old to read it. Does it make sense to them? Are the words simple enough? If not, rewrite it. That people will skim read an email, so there's a load of pointless words in there, then they're just redundant and making the email longer than it needs to be. So yeah, I'm not going to attempt to read that sentence out now, full of lots of hard to pronounce words. But yeah, if you try and get your thesaurus out on your email that you're sending out to make it sound fancier, you're actually doing it more damage than good. I would just add in the caveat that I wouldn't actually recommend getting a 10-year-old to read and QA your prospecting emails. You might be better off using an adult, but that's the theory behind it. You want to make sure that anyone could understand what you're approaching them around. Now, when you are doing any sort of outbound work, whether you're ringing up people on the phone, you're in the streets door knocking, or emails being a prime example, you're not going to get a reply straight away. And that doesn't mean that the person just doesn't want to know about what you're offering or isn't interested. There's many reasons why that may be the case. It could be that they're busy that day, they don't feel like you made enough effort, or they got distracted. So you must have a follow-up sequence. And when you are doing any sort of manual outbound work, you sometimes feel a little bit bad for persisting or chasing somebody. Where if you set up something like we do, where they're automatically going to receive a sort of chase, if they don't respond, you take the human feel away from it, then you'll have those emails going out, and the chaser emails will generate conversations, interest, and leads. Yes, people might go, look, you emailed me twice, I'm not interested, but alongside those people are ones that went, oh, thanks for chasing, yeah, it'll be great to have a conversation. How many emails to send? We've tested between 1 and 8, and actually we found 3 as the magic number. So you got your intro email, your polite nudge, your referral request, and then what we call a final breakup, which is the don't worry, I'm not going to keep emailing you type approach. Now, these slides will be available if anyone wants to look through them following this. I'm just going to go through the examples of those fairly quickly. But the first one, the polite nudge, once you've sent that initial email, you're not heard back within a week, then give them a, hey, just following up, here's a bit more information about how we help. It really would be great to speak to you. And again, and reclose it, have you got some time later or this or next week? So you're just chasing them in case they miss the email, which is easily done. The second follow-up, or the third email in the chain, this is actually, in our experience, the highest performing or the highest performing part of the chain. This particular example is one of the best performing versions of that, and I would say that because I wrote it. But it's just saying that, not heard from you, maybe there's someone else I can speak to in the business. If I'm barking up the wrong tree, could you point me in the direction of the right person to speak to? If I'm at the correct tree, not that I'm calling you a tree, can we book in a call? And get a lot of creative responses related to leaves, foliage, bushes, plants, trees, the lot. And of course, not really offend anyone with a bit of humor like that, unless you're actually trying to pitch a tree. So the idea from this one is that they may put you in touch with the relevant person, and in a mid to large business, that can be invaluable. Then your final breakup, or the final email, people want to know that they're not going to receive endless amounts of emails from you. So it's important to send the final kind of Hail Mary of, look, I really want to speak to you, want to tell you about how brilliant SoPro is, but appreciate that you may not be interested, or maybe it's just not on your to-do list. So this example here, never entered into to-do list, don't want to be a pest, so one final email. And this has got some humor in there, which I think is really important for your final email. So this says, choose me, or let me know one of these options. You're just not interested, and I should kindly do one. I should follow up in a month when you have more time, or a ninja hamster has been preventing you from replying, and you have to include the picture of the ninja hamster. We've got umpteen versions of this type of email that we'll send out, and the type of declines you get at this point are normally, look, you made me laugh, appreciate it, but it's not right for me, alongside people saying, yep, sorry, been meaning to get back to you, really interested to speak, and plenty of people saying, do you know what, let's speak, I like your style, which is great for us when we're selling this as a service. But yeah, humor is really important. Don't try and remove any sort of personality or humor for an email just in case somebody doesn't like that version of the humor. It's more damaging to be really boring and kind of gray in the emails that you send out. Put a bit of color in them. Now, we've been sending, or let's assume you've been sending these emails out. You're doing a great job with your subject lines, and you're writing your emails, and you're getting some responses, which is great. You're going to get a variety of responses, some of which will be good, some will be not so good, but we kind of categorize them into 4 main areas. You've got your declines, rejections, which are no's in various guises, which I'll come on to. Then you've got your more positive responses, which is just a positive, yeah, let's speak. You've got your future interest, really useful. If they maybe want to speak, perhaps it's just a manic time up until Christmas, diarise something for January. And the referrals, which, as I mentioned earlier, in your mid to large companies, these can be invaluable to follow up with. So here's some examples of these types of, well, not really the types of responses, but how to handle these types of responses. First one here is the short rejection. That's when somebody simply replies with no thanks, or not interested. You've got nothing to go on there. You can't try and change their mind because you don't know why they're not interested or what their particular reason is. It's always worth still replying to them to acknowledge the fact that they have come back to you. And what I would do is feed them a bit more information about why you think you can still help them. So it's just like, thanks for coming back to me. Here's some other benefits about us. Here's something great about us. So one of the last lines here, we recently won Tech Company of the Year in the UK from judges at Vodafone, Verizon, Facebook, and Snap. So we're quite excited. And then the final line, you're not trying to reclose them because they've already said no, but it says thanks for being a good sport, and if a need in the future arises, I hope you will think of us. So it's not being pushy, but it's giving somebody that extra nudge, which might make them turn around and go, yeah, okay, I'm going to give this my attention now. The old sport picture in the bottom. The longer rejection, which can be a little bit more useful because they'll say, look, thanks for your approach. It's not right for us because of this, and this. And that gives you a load of information that you can maybe look to overcome as an objection. If you've done objection handling before, you'll appreciate that the 3 main steps are empathy, benefit, and close. So you empathize, you understand their objection. You can't say somebody's wrong in terms of why they're not interested, but you respond with some benefits as to, well, I understand you're not interested because of this, but here's how we can still help. And then you always reclose in this sort of scenario, but it's a softer close again because it is a rejection. So you're at least saying, look, I hope in the future you might be able to think of us. But really read what they've written and think, can I still help them? And respond, covering off their points. And maybe, if you feel strongly, suggest that you have a call with them. You've got the misunderstanding type of decline. We get people saying, no, I'm not interested in telesales. And we're like, well, we're not telesales. So I will respond and let them know and explain the differences. But actually, based on a misunderstanding, I then tend to go back with an actual close, which would be, yeah, it'd be great to actually explain more. Because often, once people understand more about what we do anyway, people are more likely to have a conversation with us. So if they respond to your approach and they haven't quite grasped what you're trying to do to help them and they think it's something slightly different, first off, think about how you've written that in the email. Maybe you need to revise that slightly, but also, yeah, look back and or go back to them and explain why they're not wrong, but why actually your service may still be a benefit, and then give them another close. And then the final one, which is the we don't need you. We do this all in-house. We've got this all covered. We're already brilliant at it, what you offer. But I'm sure you've all got businesses. You're thinking, well, we have a service. People should use us because we're brilliant at doing this particular offering, or this product we have is actually really useful. Tell people that. If they think they've got everything handled internally, give them a bit more information that might make them tweak and think, okay, maybe I will have a listen, because although we do things well, maybe we could do it better. But again, acknowledge their decline, acknowledge their response, and follow up as necessary from there. Now, moving on to the slightly better responses where people actually want to talk or have some level of engagement. So you've got a positive response. If somebody is, yeah, let's speak, don't try and continue a conversation back and forth with loads of information over emails. You simply want to get that person booked in on a call to speak to you. So you can go back with just some slots is one option, but yeah, you don't really want to try and try and pitch what you do back and forth over email. They should hopefully come back and you'll agree a time. Now, how will you have that call? I'd recommend something like a Zoom meeting or a video meeting. The best way to sell to somebody is to go and meet them face to face. As we know, we can't really do that much at the moment. So the next best thing is doing a video call. So it's like a virtual meeting, and Zoom has become a little bit synonymous with video calling. So it's an easy one to set up. I'm sure you got your platform of choice, but yeah, they come back, they want to speak, just get them booked straight in. The future interest, this is where somebody is interested, they've come back and like the idea of what you have to offer. It's just not quite the right timing. So you're going to want to follow up at an appropriate slot. If it is within a short space of time, maybe you can diarize that call already. If they want to speak in 3 weeks, great. Well, diaries shouldn't change too much. Let's get that call booked in. Or maybe it's a case of come back to me end of January. Okay, no problem. You're going to put that in your diary, obviously respond to them, telling them that. And then when it comes around to the end of January, you'll have that in your diary and you'll follow up with Barry in this case, and you can just continue the conversation chain or the email chain that happened as you were going back and forth. What I would advise though is that between now and January, Barry is going to totally forget who you are, understandably. So it's worth sending something halfway through. This is not a, oh, can we speak earlier? This is, oh, you might find this interesting, Barry. We've got our tool set, which is a free set of tools that people can take advantage of. And we could send that out, but it ends it with, still looking forward to catching up in a few weeks. So you're not trying to, as I said, bring that forward. It's just keeping you in their mind so that when it comes around to the end of January, hopefully they do remember you rather than it being almost like a completely cold approach again. And then the last one is the referral. So this is where you are referred into somebody else in the business and you want to get in touch with them. Now, you can really use a very similar approach to what you sent in the first place to the person who referred you, because the email is going to be coldish, but then you might also get looped in, which is the most, or the best sort of referral, where they go, look, I've CC'd in Tina over here, you should speak to them. But either way, if you get given their contact information, you go, look, I'm approaching you because I was told to by referrer, and make sure you put that person's name in because it makes it a much stronger approach. And if you looped in with the email via CC, you can simply reply and the information will be in the chain below. But with these emails that you're sending out, they may not receive it. So you're going to want to chase them like they're almost like a cold prospect. And moving nicely on to the subject of chasing, any of those replies that came through that you want to continue forward with, which will be the leads, there's many reasons why they may be quiet, and it's not because they're not necessarily interested or they changed their mind. Is no matter how compelling your offering is at this stage, you're not number 1, 2, 3, maybe not in the top 50 of their important things to deal with that day. So they may reply saying, yeah, let's speak, and then you respond trying to book it in, they get distracted and it gets buried again. So the same way as when you're trying to make the cold approach in the first place, make sure you chase these people up, because they can, as I mentioned, they can easily forget and they won't be offended by it. And the sequence for that is very similar to what we do on the prospecting, which is a nudge, chase with a benefit if you think maybe it's gone a bit cold, and then the final breakup of, look, obviously you said you were keen to speak, but I've not heard from you since, so I'll leave it with you. It says the version there. Last thing I want to do is become a pest, so I'll leave this with you for now. If you're still interested to hear about SoPro, then please do let me know. It's the power of the breakup email is it's insane. I would say 90% of the time when I send an email like that, I get a response, and that response is either the person explaining why they're quiet or apologizing and getting it booked in. Yeah, it pretty much always gets a response, and it puts the onus back on the person you've contacted to, it's in their core. And if they are genuinely interested, they know that you're going to leave them be now, so they need to hurry up and get back to you. So the chasing is important for anywhere where you want to continue that conversation. And again, if you want to set this up on an auto chain to remove that human, oh, should I be emailing them? Then do that. But make sure you send them, because if somebody's interested and you don't nudge to follow that up, you lose the potential of that lead and conversation. The next part of managing these responses is the CRM management side of it. You're going to send out a load of emails, you're going to get some replies, you're going to have conversations. No matter how good you think your memory is, you're going to forget details, notes. Every conversation is not going to stick in your mind like it's being filmed. So therefore, having a CRM where you can store this information centrally is really, really important. Not only so that you can remember it, but also if there's other people in the business who are engaging in sales activity, they're going to need to know what's been said. If you write things in a diary, what happens if you lose that diary? It's gone, it's lost completely. Whereas a CRM, it's all stored. Most of them are cloud-based now, so it's all, it's all stored somebody or somewhere where everyone can access it. Everyone who's got logins anyway, not just anyone. But it's accessible by other people in your team. They can see your notes. They can follow up on any information that you've got in there. And what you also should be able to do if you use it properly is start to review your pipeline and your sales performance. Of those emails that went to pitches, what happened next? Are you getting proposals out to lots of them, only a few of them? Are you losing lots of people after the first conversation? Is it taking you 12 months to close people rather than 6 months? If you put it all in your CRM, you can track that through and manage that whole process. And being critical of your own performance is really, really important, because if you don't look at how you're doing things, you're not going to be able to understand how you might be able to improve it. And no matter how good a salesperson thinks they are, they'll miss opportunities. There will be things that they could do better. So whatever the CRM is, get one, set it up, and use it religiously. Admin is very important. And alongside admin, your diary. Use your diary to remind you of every little thing you need to do. Follow up on emails, chase a person. Again, if you don't, you'll forget things. Speed is of the essence. Any lead that comes to you is interested, whether they've replied to an email, they'll come directly to your website. So if they are looking to speak, don't wait around, get back to them straight away. So it says you're 20 times more likely to successfully qualify a lead 5 minutes after their inquiry rather than 30 minutes later. Think about this: if someone's replied to your email, they're likely sat at a laptop, at a desktop, on the phone, however they've decided to make that response. But they are likely to see a response if you get back to them fairly quickly. And then, of course, failing to respond to a lead within the hour can halve your eventual close rates, because the interest wanes and you'll lose some of those people to potentially be pitched. And you lose the opportunity to pitch them, they go to a competitor, or they move on to other things and forget all about you, unfortunately. So don't wait around, get back to people straight away. So in summary, for what we've gone through this afternoon, your subject lines, keep them simple. Don't try and sell loads about what you're actually trying to achieve. You are wanting to get them to open the email. That's the only goal of your subject line. Get them to open the email, and don't try and, as I mentioned, use tactics of percentage off, savings, making it look a bit cheesy. It doesn't work. You want them to open it more through curiosity more than anything. Number 2, human, direct, straightforward email approach. Again, don't try and over pitch. Don't try and sell every aspect about what you do. Don't think, but they won't know that we do this over here and this over there. If you try and put everything you do in an email, it's going to be pages and pages long. No one's ever going to read it. And with regards to being human, don't be afraid to put, a bit of humor in there, or something that might at least grab someone's attention a little bit. But also be straightforward. You don't want to describe your services in what you think is a really fancy way, but actually doesn't really describe what you do. So get rid of those redundant words. Knocking at the door more than once. Chaser emails. Chase. If you do it in the right way, it will get you more conversations. You will speak to decision makers. You'll get people further down the line, and you'll close more deals. But if you aren't persistent, you won't have that opportunity. So can't really say any more on that. Just the importance of chasing up people. It's it's one of the essential things for doing any sort of email marketing. Replying to everyone that responds to you, even if they say go away, you could say apologies, I won't email you again. But you're very rarely going to get that sort of response. But anything else, acknowledge their decline. If they've taken the time to write back to you, acknowledge that and do what you can with it to try and move it to a conversation. If it's a lead, jump straight on it. But yeah, just get into the habit of replying quickly to everyone who responds to you, because that will massively increase what you get out of any sort of email activity. Recently discovered this anyway, but be on top of your admin, log everything in your diary, in your CRM, keep detailed notes of every single thing that you are doing, so that you can come back to it later on and remember that when having a conversation. If you're having a follow-up conversation with someone 3 months down the line and you've looked back in your CRM and you've got a few notes about the conversation you had that wasn't involved with a business talk, you spoke about what they did at the weekend and they've got a particular hobby or something, it's really good to bring that back up, because they're going to appreciate that. And again, you won't remember it if you haven't logged it in your CRM. And the final most important piece of advice is be yourself. People buy from people. That will never change. So if you sound, I don't really say it this way, but boring or robotic, or there's just zero personality in what you are doing, you're going to be noise, and nobody's going to listen to you. Nobody's going to pay attention. So don't worry about if I say this, will everyone take it as a joke? Will it be, will someone think that I'm not particularly funny? It doesn't matter. You're not trying to please every single person. You're trying to go out in a way that grabs some of your potential target audience and gets them to have a conversation with you. So put that personality in there within reason. There are obviously certain areas of humor you don't want to go down, but if you put in there a bit about yourself, then people can buy into you as a person as well as your business from the very outset, and that is really important. So thanks for listening to that. There's a lot of additional information that I had to cut out to not fit in with this. So if you want to ask any questions around what I've gone through this afternoon, then let me know. I'm available on the portal if you want to message me directly, and I can share a copy of these slides to anyone who actually wants to have a look through. Our website as well has the tool set on there. If you want to check them out, some tools that might help you with prospecting. But other than that, that's me done for this session.